Hello! I've just finished filming my pregnancy update, so hopefully that'll be up before this one. But I realised ages ago I said I would film a video about my anxiety, and I never did. So here is me filming my video about my anxiety. So basically, when I was talking about the depression in my other video, if you haven't seen that, I don't have that many videos, so I'm sure you'll be able to find it really quickly. If not, I will try and remember to put a link in the description to the video. Basically, I started to get better from depression, and as soon as I started, my anxiety kicked in. So it was almost like everything that I hadn't worried about when I was depressed, because I just didn't care, suddenly all flooded my system. And I'm still, you know, a little bit anxious today, but I am a lot better. So to give you an idea of what I was experiencing, my anxiety levels were just very high. Anything would set me off, and I mean anything. I had a panic attack over a postcode. I find this funny now, but back then it was horrendous. Oh yeah, anyway, I'm just remembering that. It was just crazy. And I'm not saying that in a nasty way. It was just, it's crazy how anxiety has that grip on you. And like, it's like having a big black dog with depression. Anxiety has that kind of clawed grip on you, and it's almost like you just can't let go. That is how I felt. I felt like if I let go, something awful would happen. And yeah, that could be, you know, somebody may be able to see that as OCD, but I don't. I personally don't feel that I have OCD. I just feel like it was anxiety. Because it's important not to just label yourself willy-nilly with kind of, oh yeah, I am a little bit worried today, oh I must have panic attacks, and that's not what I'm talking about. So I'm talking about panic attacks where I'm crying, I cannot breathe because I am so wound up inside, and I'm kind of trying to harness that emotion that I felt, and you know, hopefully it'll come across. But yeah, cuckoo clock. Enjoy, it's gonna go off 12 times. I don't know whether you're actually able to hear the cuckoo clock. You can see the pendulum right there, just where my fingers are, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, basically it was crippling. I have had several panic attacks. My first one was when I was a child. I was 10 years old, and I just thought it was hormones at the time, because it was kind of at the time when everyone was getting their hormones through and everything. I just remember not being able to breathe and just feeling really panicky and feeling like everything was against me and I couldn't fight it. And it, you know, it's a fight or flight sort of reaction. And I'll come back into that more after I just explained about this panic attack, because I remember these thoughts. I mean, I'm 27 now, so that was 17 years ago, and I remember this so clearly because I remember thinking everybody's against me, and it's quite often, this is my trigger point, where I think I'm on my own, no one's going to help me in this kind of thing, and actually it's a lie. People are going to help, you know. And I think I just really felt panicky. I thought people were genuinely wanting to harm me, wanting to hurt me, and honestly they weren't. It was just they thought, oh, let's get Miriam, you know, it's a water fight. I really hated water fights, to be honest, so it probably didn't help that, and obviously I don't think they realised how much of a problem my anxiety was about it. I mean, that's a different story. But yeah, so like I was saying about the fight or flight syndrome, it's like my body was like, either has to fight, so obviously the adrenaline kicks in for me to be able to fight, but often I wasn't fighting, I was just kind of flighting, as it were. And flighting is obviously getting out, like, again, it's the adrenaline and getting out of there. And with obviously all this adrenaline running around your system, your body's like, excuse me, pumping, raring to go, and it's like, rah! But the problem is, if you've got nowhere to go, obviously it was really useful, you know, in it still might be in tribal areas where, you know, you're trying to kill a bear or a lion. I don't know whether people actually do that, but you know, or hunting, you know, that still, you know, exists. And it's sort of like, it's a me or them sort of situation rather than anything else. So my brain tells me it's me or them, they are against me, and that's what triggers the panic attack, because it's sort of like, you feel alone, you feel like you've got to fight it on your own, and quite often there's a lot of things we cannot do on our own. There are things we can, you know, I can go to the toilet on my own, however I can't, you know, build a road on my own, partly because I don't have the knowledge, but partly because, you know, well, A, I'm pregnant, but B, even if I'm not pregnant, I don't know how to build a road. I need somebody else to teach me those skills. And often we forget how involved we can be in each other's lives. Even if it's just, I'm going to the shop to buy some bread. Actually, you need the help of that other person to sell you that bread. And obviously, you know, it goes on. But I think in these panic attacks, I suddenly had no sort of logical thought like that. So, you know, I would think, I'm on my own, I have no one else that can help me in this entire world, and this is why I started getting these panic attacks. And a lot of the time then people didn't understand the panic attacks, and that often triggered it even more and fueled the fire, because people wouldn't understand, and so it would then feel more that I was on my own. But basically, yeah, so from about age 10 to 15, I don't think I had a panic attack. And I'm trying to remember, oh yeah, so the panic attack I had when I was 15, I hate canoes, like, I really hate them, like, ugh. There's two things that I just cannot cope with. It's like small boats, like a canoe that could capsize, and snakes. And someone went, so your worst nightmare would be trapped in a canoe with a snake. And I went, I don't think anyone would like that, to be fair. But anyway, that's another story again. And I remember this is the thing, as a child, obviously, you're encouraged to do things, and I think that's really, really great, but there came a point where a lot of the time I felt forced into doing things, and I felt I couldn't say no, which then took control away from me, made me feel very out of control, and it's partly why I then started feeling panicky, because I wasn't in control, I couldn't do anything. And so, for example, basically I don't think I'd ever canoed before, but I was like, I don't like small boats and everything, and they just didn't understand, which is fine, because if they don't understand, they aren't gonna know what the effect is gonna have on me. They weren't doing it purposefully, but I just really, really struggled, and they realised how badly it was, because I had a panic attack, and that was really rubbish. But again, it wasn't too bad at this point, the anxiety. So yeah, I had those 2 episodes, and then I think I don't quite know what happened. I don't know whether it was hormones, I don't know whether it's just what was happening in my life, but I started getting really, really anxious about a lot of things, and to the point where I think at the peak point where I was working for a company, and it was on the telephone, and I just started getting panic attack after panic attack, and often it was when I felt out of control, actually, and it's still, you know, I still have that trigger point where if I feel out of control, I am going to start feeling very anxious. And so the thing is, for me, it's important for me to remember I can control my own actions. I can't control somebody else's, and that is how I need to deal with it, because it's like, well, if I can't control anybody else's, I need to realise that that doesn't make me out of control. It means I need to control my response, not my reaction. So basically what I mean by that is I need to respond and not react. So it's still a journey, and one of the best things is, in this height of these panic attacks, I was getting about 3 a week. It was ridiculous, and I'd have anxiety. It was exhausting. Like, anxiety is absolutely crippling. And yeah, it just comes with so much illness because I'm constantly under so much pressure from myself and stress and all that. But yeah, so that was that. And the best thing that helped me, Mind and the NHS they came together and did this thing called Talking Space, which I think they still do. I got referred to this through a GP because I said, you know, I am really struggling, and they said, well, look, here you go, gave me the leaflet and said give them a call, and so I did. So basically, you have, I think there is a bit of a waiting list, which unfortunately is just because there's so many people that actually do struggle with anxiety and other things like that, that it is a waiting list because people just don't get help quick enough or don't know how to get help. And I was the same, like I just did not know where to go, or I wasn't aware of what was happening and things like that. So anyway, I have this, it was about half an hour phone interview where I basically just spoke to them, and I remember this because I was at work. I had to, there's one bit in that you have phone reception at work, so I was wandering around this little bit. And yeah, so I was just on the phone to them, and they asked questions like, you know, related to your anxiety. I can't even remember now, you know, how many panic attacks you get, what would you know, I can't even remember. I mean, this was a while ago now, so this was probably 2012, 2013, I think. I think I did the course in January 2013, I want to say. I'm not sure if that's correct, but it was 3 years ago, basically. Yeah, so they kind of, at the end of the assessment, more like an assessment than an interview, over the phone, they basically said, right, I think you do better in this course. Like, I think they actually said in a group setting, and I instantly thought, oh no, group therapy. And the funny thing was, they then said, no, it's not group therapy, without me even having to say anything, because obviously it's like, you know, having to talk to other people about things. And yeah, I didn't really want to be that personal with that many people, and that's exactly what they say not to do on the course. So they say do not like give any examples of personalized anxiety, as it were. So what they were discouraging would be, oh, you know, I'm getting anxious at this specific thing. For example, when my, you know, husband does this, I get really anxious, or something like that. They were really anti saying that, just because it's not helpful in the course setting. Because if for example that's what you needed help with, they would have given a one-to-one sort of deal rather than put you on a course, which is why they then felt that that would be better for me. So basically I went on this course, I think it was 6 weeks. It was so good. It gave me so many different tools how to help my anxiety, and I think my favourite one is the worry tree. So if you get a chance, just Google the worry tree. You can see, you know, online what it actually looks like. And basically it goes, can I do anything about it now? No. Don't do it then. That's how my mind interpreted it. Whereas, for example, can I do anything about it? Right, what can you do? And it just gets you to ask yourself the questions that you need to ask in that anxiety moment. Or one of the really good things for me was this hot thought. So you put your thought on trial. So, for example, I feel overwhelmed. I go, oh, I can't do this. I'm so alone. Then I look at what I've just said. So that thought, I can't do this, I'm so alone. Okay, when I say I can't do this, what am I saying to myself? So for example, I'm struggling to reach the plates at the moment, just on the bottom cupboard. And that's so annoying. But anyway, when I'm saying I can't do this, yes, I can't do this because I'm growing a life. Which kind of then knocks the other thought, you know, I'm so alone. I've got a life inside me. I've got a husband, I've got friends, things like this. And actually thinking, actually, how alone am I? When I say that to myself, it's not actually, I'm not alone, I feel alone. And normally, when you feel alone, or when I feel alone, the best thing is to talk to someone. Phoning them up, texting them, and actually it's not so alone. Or this site I use, which I'll try and link below as well, it's called Ellie-Friends. So basically Ellie-Friends is a great site. It's basically for loads of people like myself who struggle with mental health sometimes, or a lot, and it's just a place where you can talk to one another. Like, you can, it's like the moaning version of Facebook, and I mean that in a really nice way. You can go on there and go, I feel crap today, and everyone, you can kind of, there's buttons like, thinking of you, I hear you, or I like this. Obviously you probably wouldn't like that, but it's just really supportive community, and mine are great for doing that, because it's just this space where a lot of people can go, they need to talk to someone, and often, you know, we can help each other out, which is great, because for me, helping each other out is just, it almost gives myself a sense of, actually, I've done something today, because being pregnant and sitting around all day waiting for a baby in 8 weeks' time is not always the most exciting thing, funnily enough. So yeah, it's, yeah, that's kind of probably it. I mean, I could give you more examples of anxiety if you really want, but I don't feel that it's really much point at this stage, because they're just repeats of what I've kind of already said, and most of the time it's just having that thought in my head that's escalated, or I've kind of not really thought about it. And one of the best things is, since I've been married about two and a half years nearly, is that my husband's so logical. It's amazing for my brain, because it's helped me to think in a more logical way. So when my brain goes, no one cares about me, blah blah blah, actually it's like, no, well actually I feel like nobody cares about me, but is that actually the truth? No, because my husband cares about me, for starters, and you know, I've got family that care about me. For example, there is always someone, even if you don't know who, that will care about you, and sometimes you don't even know it. Like, for example, I remember finding this out, so I became a Christian a couple of years ago, and I remember finding out, like, loads of people apparently had been praying for me, and I had no idea, and I just felt really, like, overwhelmed by that, because people who I didn't even think thought of me, were like thinking of me. I mean, that's relevant even if you're not a Christian, you know. People who you may have met in the past may still think about you and kind of care for you and wonder how you're doing. I mean, I know I certainly think about people who I've met in the past and be, oh, I wonder how they're doing, I hope they're doing alright, you know. And people do that to each other. It's not just, you know, I think sometimes we can get stuck in our own heads. I know I can. I say that because I get stuck in my own head, and I know other people who get stuck in their own head. So, yeah. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there because I need some lunch. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you find it helpful, and bye from me and Jellybean.